All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Stu and David with Filling the Storehouse podcast, episode 13. 13. I counted this time, David. I'm on. I got it.
It's good. No, it's great. And hopefully we can at some point transition away from the just adding one theme because I'm sure our listeners are one, they're expecting it. They're probably already proud of you. You've gotten past the 10 digits. So I think we're good, man.
Well, we have two amazing human beings today. We talk a lot about Warriors Heart Foundation, just basically with everybody that we talk to about how awesome they are, how amazing they are. And so today we are fortunate enough to have Josh and Lisa Lannon, who are the co-founders of Warriors Heart Foundation. And they have a big ranch down in Bandera, Texas. They have an amazing organization, and we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more today. So Lisa, Josh, welcome. We are super excited to have you guys today.
Thanks for having us. Love it. And it sounds like I'm in good company with the counting. Past 10, I get a little confused, and I ask Lisa for help. I don't know if you can see the books behind me, but half of them are audio books, which I have listened to. The other half are paperback that I struggle to get through. So I figured if I put them around me, I would look smarter. So I'm kind of with you on this.
I feel you, man. Every single one we do, I'm like, what number podcasts are we on? We've only done 13 of them. So, and I'm supposed to be like the analysis guy and the spreadsheet and engineer guy. But I use Excel spreadsheets and calculators. I can't do anything in my head.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, it's killing all our future deals too, because we keep talking about how Stu's the analytical guy. He's the guy running the analysis. Can't get past 10. So a lot of confidence out there. Just Stu, remember the number of listeners we have is the same number that we're on.
Hey man,
You guys got to give yourselves more credit than that. You guys are doing a great job with your own mission and what you're doing. So,
thank you, Lisa. That's mighty
Thank
kind
you, Lisa.
of
you. I appreciate that. And actually, you, Josh, gave a great segue. I was just going to comment on the fact that our last two guests have had the Godfather feel, with the books and the mahogany and the rich smell of leather-bound books and all that good stuff. So it's awesome.
I'm glad it's full in there. Good.
Keeping it going. Well, so a little bit of backstory with how we got connected with Warriors Heart. David and I, when we first started this business, one of the most important things that we wanted to put in our business plan was giving back and giving and serving. And we named the company out of Malachi 3:10 in the Bible, which is tithing. So the first 10% of our profits we wanted to give to a nonprofit organization. And at first we didn't know who that was going to be. And, our first idea was, hey, let's build houses for wounded veterans. And so we kind of started going down that road and we started seeing a lot of other organizations kind of doing something similar. And, we couldn't really find the organization that we wanted to really support. And then kind of a chain of events happened in both David and my lives that really kind of pulled our hearts in another direction. It started with one of our classmates from our college. He was transitioning out of the military, and we both knew him, and he was struggling. He was going through some hard times, and he ended up committing suicide. Similar, a squadron mate of mine that I flew helicopters with, very, very similar timeline. I had gotten a phone call from him, and I hadn't heard from him in probably 5 years. And it was a cry for help. And he had been struggling with the deployment that he had gone on to Afghanistan. He was, kind of in the thick of it and was attached to flying drones and just lots of stuff going on in his head. And he had called me just super random out of the blue and had a really kind of a weird conversation with him. I didn't know how to handle it. And about a month later, found out he committed suicide. And so as we've David and I become, more into these leadership roles, we're starting to see it more and more and more. And it's a real issue. And so it started really pulling on our heartstrings to reach out to some type of organization that supports that. And David, was making phone calls and getting, almost like interview style, trying to find the right organization, and he ran into he got a phone call from Michael Odell, right, Dave?
Mhm.
And
That's right. We were literally just we were in such a search. We're just calling 800 numbers. So I actually called the helpline. Was online and really just Googled, struggling veterans or suicide. I don't even remember what I Googled, but I Googled it. Warriors Heart popped up. Never heard of them. I dialed you guys' help number, and Mike Odell answered.
yeah, and you had a pretty amazing conversation with him, right?
Man, I'll tell you, it was awesome. Mike, almost like a kindred spirit. I mean, he, and we intend to have him on as well. He's actually dropping just give a plug for him, but he's dropping a 3 podcast series right now on some of his recovery, his walk of recovery. And I'll tell you what, and I told him this the other day. I gave him a call. I'm like, look, I hate that you struggled through this stuff, and I hate the fact that you experienced the stuff that you experienced. But
You're on mute, buddy.
sorry, there's the working at home with the kids coming in and out of the room. Anyhow, I hate the fact that he was struggling through all that stuff, but what an amazing story, right? And I hate to admit it, but that those types of stories are they're very they're gripping, they're entertaining, they're like made for Hollywood type stuff, and I think his story is just incredible, and it really just really resonated. And we just started talking. We had a similar faith, and just started talking to each other and hit it off really quickly. And then we connected, obviously, with Tom, and then you guys. So.
And then, so I'm originally from Dallas, and so then we went to an event in Dallas where Lisa was, and I met her, and had a great experience meeting her. And then my mom and I ended up going down to Bandera, Texas, and meeting her there again, and getting a full walkthrough of the ranch and a tour, and was just amazed and blown away by what you guys are doing down there. So we were full on love what you're doing, and this was the program for us that we wanted to support. So Lisa and Josh, thank you guys. What you guys are doing is amazing, and I want to give our listeners a little bit better of an overview of who you are. So Dave, you mind reading their bios?
No, would love it. Okay, so first off, Josh has successfully built and operated 6 healing centers with a bold vision to bring 1 million warriors home from addiction and PTSD. Warriors Heart is leading the way in chemical dependency treatment for our warriors. Growing up in Las Vegas, Josh operated a family-owned nightclub and multiple nightclubs. And under his leadership, they were voted #1 5 years in a row. In 2002, he refocused himself to create a career in sobriety and build socially conscious businesses. Josh and Lisa launched Journey Healing Centers and eventually grew into 6 locations with 100 team members. Josh's passion for building businesses to assist those struggling from addiction is one of the driving forces behind Warriors Heart. Josh is also an avid martial artist, ranking as a 7th degree black belt, and teaches worldwide. Josh is currently getting his butt kicked going through the ranks of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is a lifelong student and challenge seeker. Something tells me you're not you're not the only one getting your butt kicked. I think you're probably doling out a little bit of that punishment as well, but I'll let you talk on that. And then of course we have Lisa. So Lisa, she has a bold mission and passion for building businesses and providing safe, world-class healing environments for our veterans, military, police officers, and other first responders. She is a social entrepreneur, author, and international speaker. She founded Brook Property Management as an investor in commercial buildings, residential homes, and apartment complexes with holdings of over 2,600 units, hotels, and commodities. Lisa has been featured in interviews on PBS's Rich Woman Show, Fox News, Jet Set Magazine, Empower Her, Rich Dad Radio, and multiple other media outlets. She also speaks at financial education events worldwide. Lisa was a commissioned law enforcement officer of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, where she primarily worked on the booking floor. Lisa and Josh have been inseparable since 1995 and are proud parents of 2 young, amazing children. They've dedicated themselves to building businesses that address social problems. There's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And we didn't really know half of that stuff, when we initially, chose to support you guys. And what's really cool for me is just how much we've learned about you, and just learning all the impact that you guys are creating. So, so Josh and Lisa, if you could, kind of give us the backstory of Warriors Heart Foundation, what the business is, what the mission is, and really how you guys got there, if you don't mind.
Sure. Lisa, you want me to start?
Yep, go for it.
Cool. So, and thank you for that intro. And I mean, Lisa and I, we lived through it. I'm like, dang, yeah, there was a lot, and a lot of mistakes too. We probably could have added 3 more pages of mistakes that we made. That would have made it more interesting. But
we'll get to that question in a bit.
I was gonna say, don't jump ahead because you'll take one of my questions.
Well, the truth of it is, Warriors Heart, you got to go back to 2001. So 9/11 kicks off, military's ramping up. Lisa is in law enforcement in Vegas. I mean, everyone's on edge, and I'm spinning out of control. So I end up almost taking my own life. I mean, I was ready to go. I couldn't pull the trigger. I had everything. I was ready. I was ready. And that night, Lisa came home, and what I saw was she was in full uniform. And I opened my eyes, and what I saw was the woman that I fell in love with, because she had lost herself to my addiction through codependency, enabling, I mean, all that stuff, right, that happens behind closed doors. So Lisa comes home. I saw it in her eyes. She goes, Josh, you either go to rehab tonight or I'm going to divorce you. Not knowing that I was just in the bathtub with my AR. I was ready to end it. And it's like, okay, I'm in. So the next day, we ended up driving all the way. We were in Las Vegas, drove all the way to California, checked into a rehab center, and that's when my life changed. And Lisa and I decided, hey, let's do this hand in hand. It's not just you have the drinking problem. It's your fault. You're the one. It's like we're in this together, hand in hand in marriage and in life. So we started the journey of healing together. And went through the program, did a lot of family counseling, came out of the program in California, and I went right back to work in nightclubs. I was running country western nightclubs at the time, and Lisa was again law enforcement. So the joke was I'd get them drunk and she'd book them in jail, right? It was the full circle. And here I am at a rehab. This was New Year's. Now it's New Year's, going into 2002. Earpiece on, working security on the floor. It's like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't be a part of a problem. Spiritually, I couldn't do it. Like a light bulb went on. Something happened to me prior to that night that I almost committed suicide, to going through the program, to here I am going, I got to help people now. Instead of hurting them, getting them drunk, they might get a DUI or a broken marriage or all that stuff that goes on in nightclubs. It's like, I can't do it. So Lisa and I talked, and it was, what should we do? And when I was in treatment, the treatment center owner planted a seed. He goes, when I was drinking and using, all I wanted to do was open up restaurants, a series of Bob's Big Boy restaurants in California. He goes, now that I'm sober, all I want to do is open up rehab centers. Maybe you'll be the same. And I didn't know what he was talking about at the time, but he planted the seed. And that's one thing, like when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. Like there's those promptings all the time around us. It's just a matter of, are we listening to them? In my drinking, I wasn't. I didn't hear him, and life got hard and it sucked. And it was like, why me? I prayed to God when I was miserable, right? But now that I sobered up, stuff started to clear. I could hear the messages. So called him up and told him, I said, you asked me about opening up treatment centers. Will you teach me? He said, absolutely. So again, Lisa and I hand in hand and said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to open up our own treatment center. We're going to learn how, open up our own treatment center, because we've been through it and we know how to get through it. Would add to that, Lisa?
Yeah, so as most people know who have gone through it, addiction, PTSD, all those underlying causes, it doesn't just affect the person who's going through it. It affects the whole family. It affects friends. So yeah, working in law enforcement, I would deal with it at work, and then I'd come home and deal with it at home as well. And, I gave up. How I felt was dependent on how he showed up walking in the door. And yeah, I don't know what it was that night. We were both listening. God, the universe, spoke to both of us and collided together that night. And thankfully, Josh went to rehab. And that night that he got out, our first teacher appeared. And that was Robert Kiyosaki. We were given as a gift, Choose to Be Rich. And we listened to that the whole way home, thinking, oh my gosh, this whole world is unlocking for us because we were ready. What's our next step in life? How are we going to heal together, grow together, and continue this journey? And we really learned we have a choice in everything we do. We all have our own definition of what rich means to us, what success means to us. And ours was, we want to be rich in health, wealth, and happiness. And how do we accomplish that? So yeah, it was 2 weeks later when Josh said, I can't do this anymore. And that's when we decided, let's be a part of the solution. We have our first teacher. Now let's just start learning and building and helping others.
So we were building our team. We had a mentor for the treatment centers. We had a financial education group, Rich Dad organization, had sobriety with my sponsor. So we started to build this team for life instead of building a team for partying and hanging out on the weekends. Because we had that team that was still there. It's like that team no longer serves us. We have to build a new team. So that's what we started to do. So fast forwarding a little bit, we raised the money. That's a whole story in itself, but we raised the money. We opened Journey Healing Centers. We expanded it in multiple states. And then 2013, had a private equity company come to us and said, we know who you are. You guys have a good reputation in the space. We'd like to buy your company. We had about 100 staff working for us at the time. And I was like, man, we've never sold a large company like this. And we thought, okay, this is part of, is this a prompting? Maybe it's time for the company to grow up. Like, this was our baby, but now it's going to go to college. It's going to go with the big boys. So we did. We sold the company, and I don't regret it, but I'm sad because in 5 years they bankrupted the company. Mm. They took a healthy organization and then they took the spirit out of it and they ran it by the financial statements, the P&L, profit and loss. That's how they made decisions. It's like, in a business like this with humans and people, you can't run it just off the profit and loss and the balance sheet. You'll end up making decisions that doesn't make any financial sense, but it makes human sense. Unfortunately, the business ended up closing down. But that really gave us the catalyst then when we took a little bit of time off and said, what are we supposed to do next? What's our mission? Well, we have experience. We have some resources now. We know what we're doing. And the most vulnerable population right now is the internet okay? I know this is jumping around a little bit.
Yeah, it could be mine, but we'll just continue. Yeah.
Okay. So we have friends in the military. We found out that 22 veterans commit suicide a day. It's like, holy crap, that number doesn't even make sense to me.
That's crazy.
And then law enforcement at the time, I think it was one every 17 hours or so that were committing suicide. So it's like, what's killing them first? So and when we reverse engineered it with our partner, Tom Spooner, is like addiction. So it's the chemical dependency. It's the guy's either drunk or high when he makes the final act. So if we could address that, attack that first, then we could deal with the PTSD, the trauma, the moral grief, the underlying drivers. So we reformed a new company called Warrior's Heart. This is in 2015. Acquired the ranch in Bandera, Texas. And that's what really kicked off Warrior's Heart. It's our mission, our passion, it's our why we do what we do.
And so, yeah, Warrior's Heart is on 543 acres. It's dedicated exclusively towards this population. And the treatment facility side is a private entity. And then we have the foundation side to help supplement the cost for those who don't have insurance, don't have VA benefits, have possibly burned everything down and don't have the funds or means to get to treatment. So the foundation helps support their healing. And we have 75 team members now, occupancy beds of 60. So our goal is to keep serving, keep growing, and keep building, because it's a big problem. And right now we're the first private facility in the nation to start help solving this problem, this challenge.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, everything you guys just said, there's so much richness in there, and I think we could probably do like 10 one-hour podcasts just on that one little bit. First question, I think that, some of the highlights for me are I love that you said when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But I will say, like, you guys, I mean, what students, right? Like any teacher would want students that you made a decision to go change your life. Then that came back, drove your business decisions somehow, which I'm going to try and get into in the next question. It's somewhere in there, you guys, not only you kind of touched on the rich dad, you listened to a book and had an education, but that was not so much, there's a little bit more to it than that, right? There's some aspects of becoming best friends with Kim and just taking full advantage of the opportunity and the exposure with them. And then you also touched on the why piece. And I think a lot of the reason why the folks that bought the business from you, it seems like they didn't have the same why that you guys had. And that really forced that they couldn't do what you guys do.
That's right.
Well, and to hit on the Josh's point about making P&L statement decisions versus human decisions, and how much of an impact that may affect your business in the long run is huge, and that's super important to us, and somewhat validates some of the decisions that we've made so far in our businesses. We could have absolutely made some decisions that would increase our bottom line when it comes to just how much money we're going to make, but we chose to go down the human decision path, and how much that impacts the business from that perspective. And I think, however you believe, like there will be twofold what comes back to that, right?
You're right. Because if you look at it there's a principle of the universe, yin and yang, left and right, up and down, man, woman. Unity is plural, a minimum of two. So you have to have two to create one, if that makes sense. Yeah. So where we look at it, like where Lisa and I wrote the book, The Social Capitalist, is there's good stuff in socialism and there's good stuff in capitalism. It's not one's right and what's wrong. It's like, hey, let's pick out what works and then let's apply both principles. So we want to help people and we want to make money. So we can continue helping people, then we can make more money. And then we could hire more people. Why not have both? It's not, we don't have to take a vow of poverty to do what's right in this world. And I think so many people, they make money evil. And I get it. I'm not trying to get my next Maserati. I want to serve more warriors. I want to build more facilities. I want to hire more people. That's where I think we have to be generous with our time and our resources.
I think that's huge. We talk about that quite a bit with the dichotomy between money and wealth and helping. And a lot of people, just like a lot of parts of the Bibles that we misquote, they talk about that the root of money is the root of all evil. That's not what it says, right? It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And I think it's such a huge, important one single word distinction, because I think you hit on the head is you have to, the more money, and Stu and I are in this boat as well. We want to be absolutely abundantly rich, and we want to take the vast majority of that money. You don't need all that money to live off of. You live off a small, I'd love to be in a position, instead of the 10% giving, 90%, living off of, to be able to flip that equation a lot, like guys like Rick Warren, and they have so much abundance that they have a 90-10 principle, but it's opposite of what they're mandated. It's we give 90%, we live off 10. So how awesome would that be? And I just love the fact that you hit on that, because, we had an interesting conversation on our mastermind the other day with one of just one of the dudes that we love. And he's really searching for what that thing is, right? What's his why? What does he want to give back? And really looking for what that is and how you contribute back. And I think it's such an important aspect that you guys have just completely embraced. And you held your book up, and I'm super bummed. You guys' book, it's taken forever, by the way. Forever.
So David and I both ordered that book the day that we talked to you, Lisa, and it still is not in. Like, it's like on back order. I guess it's like super popular or something, but we're like super bummed. Like my hope was to have it like read and we can talk about it more by the time we come on. But yeah,
I think we have like 10 cases in the garage, so we could send it.
You'd probably get here before Amazon would send it.
Well, the intro, I tell you what, they give you the intro when you buy it online. They give you the intro, and man, I busted through that. And you guys start like hot and heavy I think you start with the story that you started with, that Lisa came home and you were gonna commit suicide, and she gave you a choice. I'm like, oh man, I need this book. So, but yeah. So anyhow, that's awesome.
Can you guys I know we're gonna get off topic here, but can you guys just give the quick story of the Malaysia trip and kind of how you even got connected with the Kiyosakis in the book? Because I think it's just a cool story.
Yeah,
I'll start. So yeah, when we got Choose to Be Rich, we were hooked. And so the next we got Rich Dad Poor Dad, and anyone who's read that book knows it's not just about money. There's an underlying spiritual theme to it, and it touches the heart, and it's like, oh my God, there's so much more out there that I don't know. So we just started reading all of his books, okay, what do we got to do? What do we got to do? And it was in 2004, we went to their first event. It was in New York at the big convention center. So all these people, I think Donald Trump was also a speaker that day, and came back to Utah, and then just started going to all their events they had in Phoenix. At the time, they were doing 2 3-day seminars a year. And the first one we went to was The Dollar Crisis by Richard Duncan. Read that book, it was a book study, and we were hooked as students. Loved his teaching style, loved the principles.
He is a Marine, for sure.
He's a Marine all day long still. And we kept going to the seminars, kept coming back, wanting more, because what we would do is go, what did we learn? What can we apply? How can we continue to grow our business and continue to do good in the world? And then they went to go speak in Malaysia. It was a Malaysia, Singapore, Australia tour. And we just said, do you need volunteers? We'll come help. We'll come set up chairs. We'll do whatever we need to do. We just want to continue to learn. And their office manager at the time, she's like, yeah. She goes, you guys pay your own way and this and that, and you're more than welcome to come help. So when we went, Josh kind of became Robert's bodyguard and I was Kim's, and we would follow them through the crowds and this and that, and then be behind stage when they would speak. And then I'll let you pick up the story, Josh.
Yeah, you bet. No, and being young and broke entrepreneurs, the seminars were expensive, but we loved them. We got incredible value out of them. So that we looked at, instead of saying, well, we can't afford it, it's like, how can we? We started volunteering. If we volunteered, if we came in and served, registration, hanging up the flip charts, pushing in the chairs, we could be in the room. It's like, awesome, sign us up. So we were, like Lisa was saying, we were serving. So when this international tour came on, we said, hey, we'd love to come and support. And they said, all right, pay your ticket. And it's like, for the value that we'll get being around this group, yes, we're in. And Lisa mentioned security. I was assigned to Robert's security. The biggest detail I had was making sure he turned off his microphone when he went into the bathroom. Robert, drop your mic. Come on, man.
That could be disastrous.
Oh, yes, very much so. So I'm in the green room with Robert. He's getting ready to go out on stage. I think there's about 4,000 people there in Malaysia. And he goes, sit down, Josh. Tell me, who are you? Tell me a little bit more about your story. And so I did. I told him the story, and he goes, man, it's a good story. You should tell that more often. I'm like, well, okay. So he's getting ready to go out on stage. He goes out and he's getting mic'd up. He goes, hey, Josh. Yes, sir. He goes, are you ready? And it was like, woo. So you talk about opportunities. Right there was a window of opportunity. I could have played it small and got crushed and said, no, Robert, and made excuse. But instead, I took the leap of faith. I said, yep, roger that.
Hey, how big was that crowd, just out of curiosity?
4,000 people.
So first time, hey, come on up. Yeah. No big deal. Just a room full of 4,000 people.
First time public speaking. Yeah, everything.
I would rather be in a cage fight than public speak.
Yeah.
True story. Like my friends, Tom, he's like, man, I'd rather get in a gunfight than public speak, you know? So it was like, holy shit, here we go. It's going to get real.
Yeah.
So he calls over Blair Singer, his partner, and says, hey, Blair, go ahead and get him ready. So Blair goes, okay, what are you going to talk about? I go, I don't know. He goes, you'll do fine. Puts the mic on and boom, we go out on stage. And needless to say, obviously liked something. So then next time he called Lisa and I up together, and that's when the magic happened. And he just kept pulling us up, telling our story. And same thing, like Robert's typical fashion, we're on stage with him. And he says, by the way, Josh and Lisa are writing a book, aren't you? What are we going to say? No.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we are. Matter of fact, on social entrepreneurism, because it's a very important topic. I think you guys should learn it. Or, you know, like to the audience, I think you guys should study that. And these guys, they know what they're doing. And we started advising Robert then on social entrepreneurism.
And I think that's one of the things that Robert liked about our story, because we would tell it, but we also tell about, you know, how we would take what his writings and his principles and we would apply them. And that's how we were able to grow our company, is because we're applicators. You know, we take it and put it into action, and we prove that what he's doing works.
Yep. Yeah, that's a quick Malaysia story.
Yeah, that is crazy. Actually, Stu, I think we should revise Filling the Storehouse and just call it Filling the Storehouse, sponsored by Warriors Heart. And all we just do is talk to them every week. And just, I mean, there's so much here. Oh my gosh. And I think, you know, the last thing that really resonated, and that I just love about you guys is the action piece. And we talked about that with a couple guests ago, and just taking, being very intentional, taking action. And you guys are the definition of that, right? Like you said, you could have played it a little bit smaller and like, no, Robert, you know, this is kind of your thing. There's a million ways you could have gracefully bowed out of that, but you did not. And then just like looking at some of this stuff with you, Lisa, you know, all the not only running the healing centers and starting Warriors Heart and everything you guys are doing, but writing books, doing the media circuit. You know, I've talked to you a couple of times, and I think the times, and you're so gracious. I appreciate this, but you're so gracious to call back. You always respond to the text. You always call back, and you know, David and Stuart, just a couple schmucks that you're giving your time to. But I tell you, it's you guys are so gracious, but it's also incredible. Your calendar is filled. I think 2 times ago when I called you, you're like, hey, I'm about to get on a plane, going down to, was it Peru? Talk to a women's group. You're going down to Peru, talk to a women's group. And then I got to hold you another time. Like, hey, I'm about to get on an airplane, going to visit another center. I'm going to stay there and join their program for a week to analyze how they're doing. And I'm going to do this and that and the other. And it's just amazing. And it seems like, you know, when you talk about where you started, you make it a decision. Can you just talk a little bit more about, you know, how you guys are creators of opportunity, and then it seems like the opportunity begets opportunity. And the action with the opportunity begets more opportunity and additional action. So I would love to hear just almost like another C story about just how you're, you know, how does it go from, you know, you guys are serving and setting up tables to volunteering, appearing on way to being part of the circuit. And then, you know, you're best friends with Kim and you're going on to talk to women's groups in South America.
That's a lot of questions in there. So
A lot.
So yeah, just by going and serving and listening and learning and hanging out with them, the opportunities arise. You just got to be aware of them. Like Josh mentioned earlier, what are the taps on the shoulders? What am I here to do? I'm here to learn, I'm here to apply, and I'm here to continue to do good. So when Robert started speaking internationally, after that first event, it started happening more and more. And then as we wrote our book, we were asked to go, you know, to London or to different places with them. And Kim also started her own called Rich Woman, separate from the Advisor series. So our first event was in Canada. She had me on her team and a few other women. And as we started speaking more and more, it became, you know, more her and I, and since then a couple other women as well. And we've been asked to speak all over the world. And really it's just giving. You know, we don't get paid for it. It's like you just cover our travel, cover our hotel, all of that stuff, and we give it away. And that's one thing I've learned is successful people want a mentor. They want to help others get better. You know, there's this thing out there where people think, oh, you know, rich people are evil. And yeah, there's good and there's bad out there. But I've learned that a lot of them just want to share their knowledge and help others be successful, because there's a lot of abundance out there. And so going through that with Kim, yeah, we became close friends. We started, you know, going on girls' trips together. And she's just a wonderful, wonderful giving person. And I learned so much every time, and we push each other. We're not afraid to ask each other hard questions and, well, what's really going on, and things like that. So it's just been a fantastic opportunity to share a stage with her, to share teaching about real estate and business and personal development. And yeah, the last time we talked was at Peru, and then I went to Singapore with her. So we just want to share. We want to empower other women, empower other people, whether it's women or men, empower them to do better, make their lives better.
Yeah, I like to add to that too.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Please.
Is that I think one of the key differences, like with Lisa and I, when we went in to some of the other people that were serving as well, is we didn't have an agenda. Like, we weren't there to get on stage. We weren't there to promote our own products. We were truly there to serve. And whatever happened with it, we were okay with it, because we wanted to serve. We knew we were getting knowledge back for it that we could apply in our own business. And it was those that show up that are there under the umbrella of service, but they really have an agenda, that they just didn't last. Like, there was always something off with it, and it never worked. And people get upset. Why do you get the breaks? I don't know. Because, you know, I'm willing to serve. I don't have an agenda. So I think that's an important part, like with Lisa, why she went up the ranks so fast, like with Kim and Rich Woman and stuff, is there's no agenda with her. She just wanted to help Kim. Pretty cool.
I think that's incredibly so cool. I think it's really important for people to hear is there's no need for an agenda, right? It's just really all about serving and giving, and you'll get back what you've given to other people.
You just have to trust it, and it will.
Yeah.
100%. Well, so what's the goal with all this? You know, what's the goal of Warrior's Heart? You know, where do you vision, you know, this, you know, 10 years from now? What do you see in the future for you guys?
Well, when we did our initial strategic plan, we put the flag in the ground, said we're going to bring 1 million warriors home. And how are we going to do that? At the time, we had no idea. But it's like, this is our commitment that we're declaring to the universe, that we'll bring 1 million warriors home. And we're at almost 1,000 now. This month we'll hit 1,000 warriors that have gone through our course. And we couldn't do it without people like you guys. Because like Lisa mentioned earlier, when our warrior calls us and says, hey, I don't have any VA benefits, or, you know, I don't have TRICARE, I have no money, I've burned everything down. That's when the foundation, where like you guys step up and says, hey, brother, hey, sister, we got you. And then they can come into the program and we can serve them and we can take care of them. That's how we're able to pull this off, is by a cooperative team effort, because we couldn't do it without you guys. So my heart goes out to you. Have no idea the impact that you're having on the front lines, as you are helping save lives. It's a big part of it.
That's awesome. So everybody help us. Come on. We need to save some lives. We need to get some support here. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. And I'll tell you something else that, you know, back to your last comment too, about the opportunity when you have no agenda. I will tell you that, so Stu and I have no agenda in our giving, right? We give towards Heart because we love who you guys are. And then as we've gotten to know you guys better, I mean, just you're amazing people. And the other side of that is we also recognize, you know, when we talked to Lisa last, the time on the phone with you guys and time chit-chatting with you guys is a mentorship session for us, right? Of where we can potentially be in the future, and even on the martial arts side, you know, like, you know, so maybe we can roll or something. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm a big jiu-jitsu fan. I get my butt kicked all the time. I get choked out, but
I want to be there to watch you get your butt kicked.
Oh, he will wipe the mats with me, but it's all right, dude. Hey, at least I'll get out there. I'll create my opportunity.
So,
Um,
you've planted that stake in the ground. So next time when you come out here, you won't be
I
able to get out of it.
can't
we're
wait.
rolling. No, we're rolling. There is no, I will not want to get out of that. I would love it. I'll probably want to get out of the chokehold, maybe a little nomapata, but I'll get out of that. But I'll tell you, when you don't have an agenda, you notice in Stu's background, the American flag you guys sent, that because there was no agenda or expectation for that, like that is one of our most prized. Like it was so awesome. I mean, we're almost in tears when we received that because it was just such a beautiful gift. I was in tears a little bit more because it went to Stuart. That's fine.
You are
But,
not getting that ever.
now my best
So-
hope is that we have a shared office. But it was so special. And I think for you guys, when people say, well, how do you get the breaks? It's not the breaks. It's that people want to be surrounded by people that don't have that agenda or aren't looking out for themselves. And I think that was a beautiful thing, the way you put that.
Yeah, like we want to give more to you. Like, hey, what can we do? Is it podcast? Is it flags? You want some more shirts, hats? Like in a relationship like this, it's about the giving. It's cool how it just works out, and it does. So you may have another flag coming. I don't know. Can't promise that.
Yeah.
I'll take two.
I noticed, yeah, right. Stu, you better not get another flag. I noticed Lisa's rocking the Storehouse 310 shirt too. I was like,
Yes.
yes, digging it.
We're almost out. We need to make some more.
Yeah, it's true. We'll get you guys another one too. Hey, for the next question, this harkens back to one of your original comments in the path you're going down, but it sounds like, rainbows and unicorns and what a beautiful story. And you guys got all going on. You're buddies with Kiyosaki and that stuff. Just, you're so lucky. People will leave this. I guarantee people will hear this and they'll leave it like you guys are so lucky. It has nothing to do with it, right? Why don't you highlight some of the times when it was rougher, when your plans kind of fell apart and you had to pivot and create some of those opportunities that you talked about?
You want me to start, Lisa?
Go for it.
I mean, it goes back to the very beginning. It's like my life was a disaster. I'm sitting in the bathtub with a rifle in my mouth. It's not happy camp or rainbows and unicorns. Death was better than living, And when I did not pull the trigger, and came out of it, I still make mistakes. But I know that, like, hey, I use that as a reference point, is that life can get pretty bad. I just don't ever want to go back there. So by losing money, by making mistakes, and we had a franchise that went belly up. We tried to franchise Journey Healing Centers, our last company. That didn't work. We had to lay people off. We've lost a lot of money in investments. We've lost warriors that have come through our program, and they still commit suicide even afterwards. That stuff crushes us. It keeps us up at night. But it doesn't give us an excuse to quit.
Yeah.
And that's the big one. It's like, no, this is not an excuse to quit. You got to keep going, keep moving forward. So those mistakes, and there's a lot of them, become fuel to learn. It's like, how can I do it better next time? What did I learn? It's like an AAR. Just break it down after action review. What did I learn? How can we improve? What can we do differently next time? Because there are, mistakes every day. I make it in my life. I make it in my marriage. I make mistakes with my kids.
Can you say that again?
It's recording. It's recording.
I said make mistakes with the kids.
Lisa, we've got your back, Lisa.
We got you, Lisa.
Yeah.
All
So
of a sudden, I'm not liking this interview. But it's true.
It is. In business, real estate, it's not always easy. There's times when you win and you're like, that was so easy. And there's other times it's like, man, that lesson was super hard. But we have to learn from our mistakes, because if we don't, they're going to get harder and they're going to repeat. And if we don't learn from it, it can crush us. And sometimes, people don't learn from their mistakes, and then they get stuck in a rut, and then life gets even harder. So I think the goal is, if, we teach our clients, we teach our staff, we have to learn from our mistakes. That's how we're going to learn. That's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to get better. And then hopefully next time the mistakes aren't as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Pretty cool. I agree 1,000%. I mean, David and I have made a lot of mistakes so far, but we just grow from them and learn and pick ourselves up and just keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, David has made way more mistakes than I
I knew
have.
it was coming. It's so predictable. It's so predictable.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty perfect, but
You can't count to 14, Stu. We're celebrating at the beginning of our podcast. We're celebrating that from one week to the next, you can actually advance one number, and we're celebrating that.
All right. Enough about that.
This isn't about us. This is about them.
Yeah, it's about them. So, Lisa and Josh, what would be a good resource, a good educational resource that you would say would be helpful to our listeners to do what you guys are doing?
Good thing, Lisa.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of my all-time favorite books. I mean, that book is what got us where we are today. That was the start of it.
Yeah, it was one of the first books that I read.
He tells it in a way that's just like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go down this path. There's so many more choices.
Yeah. Also like to add to that is the books are great, and then live trainings, it's a whole nother level. One of the biggest breakthroughs Lisa and I have had is with one of Robert's advisors, Blair Singer. Mm-hmm. He's a friend, he's a mentor, a phenomenal teacher. I recommend any of the courses that he has. They're life-changing. Because for us to go from employees to big business owners to traveling the world, all that stuff, we had to shift our mindset. And it was only through personal development that happened, personal development courses. So just like we get trained up on other stuff, we go through a course, we need to do the same thing with our life. Go through life courses, personal development courses. Get the training because it's out there and the technology's there.
Yeah, we talked about that on one of our podcasts. One of our podcasts that we recorded early on was from a real estate event that we went to, that David and I went to. Mm-hmm. And I mean, those things are powerful, right? I mean, not just the education in real estate, but just the people that you meet and the mind, like being around people that have that same mindset is just going to push you so much more. It's just incredible, and they're not cheap. By any means, but they're so worth it. They're so worth it. I love it.
It goes back to building your team again. Whatever you want to do in life, hey, build a team that helps you succeed in that lane. So if it's real estate, to your point, go to the real estate conventions, go to those seminars, meet the people, build your team.
Yeah.
And then a big part too, like Josh mentioned, is that personal development. We got to clear what's between our two ears. That's going to advance us quicker if we're willing to work on ourselves. What are our upsets? What's holding us back? And the more we can do that, the more effective we can become too. And there's a lot of seminars we've gone to over the years where we've sat in there and be like, okay, this is boring, I want to leave. But it's like, nope, stick through it. There's got to be a nugget in there that's for me. I'll pick up on it. I will learn something from every single seminar I go to, book I read. Whatever it is, it's finding that little nugget that's going to connect with the person, with yourself.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think what's really interesting, something that kept popping up in my head as you were talking about the resources. I think what's really cool is you guys are a resource now. And, you mentioned earlier how when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. Well, I think come full circle, I think you guys are that teacher that appears for a lot of people. So I think that's pretty awesome how that's, and I look forward to, if it ever comes, and Stu, we missed out on an opportunity to ask for one of the books of the 10 books from their garage, but, I fully anticipate learning how to be better givers and better servers within our business with the social entrepreneur. So I think that's awesome. If you guys could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
For me, it'd be trust myself in my decisions. Early on, our goal has always been, we wanted to be the business owners and hire the best counselors and doctors and therapists and clinical team. And when we first started looking for loans for our first property, the banks would be like, well, maybe you should go back to school and become a counselor. It's like, but that's not our goal. We don't want to be on the therapy side, and that would take years and years to become an expert. So when we first opened and had a strong clinical team, they would try and tell us business decisions. And then I doubt myself because of their expertise, but it took me a while to realize, no, my expertise is business. Theirs is clinically. So there was times I would doubt myself and have a little bit lower self-confidence. And once I got past that, it's like, no, trust yourself, trust your decision, trust your intuition a lot quicker. It made things a lot easier.
Good.
For me, it's that I'm capable of so much more than I think that I am. And I was listening to one of David Goggins' books, You Can't Hurt Me. I like Goggins, did a radio show with him and Kiyosaki. I mean, he's in your face guy for sure. But I like what he said about we all have a governor on ourselves, and it's learning how to remove that governor. He calls it the 40% rule. Like, we're really only operating about 40% of what we're capable of. We have a whole nother 60% if we could remove that governor. So I'm looking at that, starting to study that now. It's like, man, all of us are capable of so much more, but it's the self-defeating thoughts and fears that get in our way. So how can we remove that governor and be who we truly are meant to be on this planet? And that would be what I'd tell my younger self, is you're capable of so much more.
Wow. I got to read that book. That's pretty cool.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
He's an amazing athlete.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, guys, we're almost at an hour, and I could probably talk for another hour. And I have your cell phone, so we're going to continue to talk and ask questions and be mentees of yours, whether you like it or not. But thank you guys for your time. This has been really, really a great conversation, and I know our listeners are going to get a ton out of this. If they want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get in touch with you and learn more about Warriors Heart?
Be warriorsheart.com. And then on our team page, we have our email addresses and stuff. And yeah, we're here.
Okay. All right. Well, David, you got anything else? You got any smart comments?
That was super rich. Thank you guys so much for your time. And I know that there will be value gained by a number of folks through this. So I really appreciate you guys just sitting down. And I'll correct myself from earlier. I said schmucks like me and Stu. Stu is really most schmucky, but I appreciate your time with me as well. So it was awesome. I look forward to getting down there and rolling. Yeah, I'll take you up on that.
I can't wait to see that.
Don't get too good between now and then. I with the 3 kids and the full-time Navy gig and this and Storehouse, I do not get a lot of time to roll. So
all excuses.
I mean, you can always tap out. You can always tap out.
You're the governor.
Yeah, my 40%. Oh, I'm gonna tap that 60%. You better watch out.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, and everybody, please go fill your Storehouse.
Make it a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.